Hi class, this is Miss Best, and this video is on writing a quadratic in vertex form by completing the square. Also, I'll be calling it converting a quadratic to vertex form. A quadratic produces a U-shaped graph called a parabola. So if you look over here, this is what a parabola looks like when it's graphed, and it has a vertex, either the highest point or it could be the lowest point, because this could be flipped upside down like this. Okay. All right, so in that case, the vertex would be down here. But we're going to use completing the square to convert a standard form equation to vertex form. And that is handy because it allows you to identify what the vertex is. All right, so here is vertex form is y equals a times x minus 8 squared plus k. And the vertex in this equation is h and k. Notice that inside the equation there's a minus sign, but in the vertex the minus sign is not there. Okay, just know that whatever is inside the parentheses here, you will write the opposite number here for h. So let's say if this was x minus 1, then your vertex would just be 1, a positive 1, okay? The k stays the same, whatever k is, whether it's plus k or minus k, you would write that here. All right, so how to convert a quadratic equation to vertex form when the leading coefficient is 1. We have y equals x squared minus 8x plus 11. The first thing you want to do is group your x terms, kind of like the x squared plus bx, like we were doing when we were solving. You want to leave a space inside your parentheses for c. C is the number that completes the square, okay? Next, we're going to complete the square. So we have to know what our b term is. Our b term is 8, or negative 8, I'm sorry. So we're going to take negative 8 divided by 2 and square it. Negative 8 divided by 2 is 4. Negative 4, sorry. And negative 4 squared is 16. So we're going to add 16 in on both sides. All right, once you have added it in, you're going to write as a binomial squared. So you're just going to write this as a binomial squared. You're not going to worry about the 11 or anything right now. The binomial square, remember, is always going to be x minus b over 2. X plus b over 2. So our b over 2 is negative 4. So this becomes x minus 4 squared. All right, now I'm going to address the 16 and the 11. I want to solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides, and that's going to leave me with y equals x minus 4 squared minus 5. So this is my vertex form equation. And now the vertex from that will be 4, negative 5. This is what I was talking about earlier. Notice right here it says x minus 4, but your vertex is a positive 4. Okay. And then the minus 5 stays minus 5. You don't change the sign of that number. All right, let's do another example. This is when the leading coefficient is not 1. So we have 2x squared minus 8x plus 3. The first step is the same. You're going to group the x terms. But since the leading coefficient is not 1, you're going to factor out the leading coefficient. Okay. So our leading coefficient is 2. So we're going to factor out a 2, which means we're going to divide everything that's in these parentheses by 2. So this 2x squared becomes just x squared, and minus 8x becomes minus 4x. And then you still have the plus 3 out to the side. After that, you're going to complete the square. Your b term is negative 4. Okay, so you're going to take negative 4 divided by 2 and square it. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is a positive 4. So I'm going to add in positive 4 on both sides. Okay, now if you look over here, there's a 2 times this 4. This 2 comes from, we need this 2 because we factored out this 2 from from our from our x squared plus bx. We factored out that 2. So if you think about the distributive property, you know that this 2 is being multiplied with everything inside these parentheses. So when I put the 4 in, the 2 also multiplies with the 4. Okay, so that really makes 2 times 4. So I have to represent that same thing on this side. So the leading coefficient pops up again right here, um, because we factored it out in the beginning. Okay, so you always have to go back and include that when you're adding the number that completes the square to both sides. So we got y plus 2 times 4 equals 2 times x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus 3. All right, now we write as a binomial squared. This is always x plus b over 2. Our b over 2 was negative 2. So this is x minus 2 squared. And then this 2 times 4 became a positive 8. Then we have to solve for y. So we're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And we have 2 times x minus 2 squared minus 5. So that's our vertex form equation. And then the vertex is 2, negative 5. All right. Next you have a U try. So I want you guys to pause the video, try that on your own. All right. So we have So we have to factor out the leading coefficient because it wasn't 1. So we factored out the 2, and that left us with 2 times x squared plus 2x, and then we have the minus 4 off to the side. Next, you have to complete the square. Our b value is 2, so that's 2 over 2 squared. 2 over 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. So we're going to add this number 1 on both sides. Don't forget to put back in the leading coefficient because you factored it out. So we have y plus 2 times 1, okay, that comes from the leading coefficient, equals 2 times x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then you have the minus 4 off to the side. Next, you have to write as a binomial squared. So you have y plus 2 equals 2 times x plus 1 squared minus 4, and then solve for y. So you subtract 2 from both sides, and you get y equals 2 times x plus 1 squared minus 6. Okay, and our vertex would be negative 1, negative 6. Notice again that the sign changed when you write the vertex. So x plus 1 becomes x plus 1 means that the vertex was at a negative 1, and then the minus 6 says negative 6. All right. If you guys have any questions, post them on Google Classroom or email me. Or you can ask me on Wednesday. You can also ask Miss Wiles or Miss Elliott. All right. Have a good day.